Hong Kong's High Court convicted two former leaders of a disbanded group that organized annual vigils commemorating Beijing's 1989 Tiananmen Square crackdown on pro-democracy protesters. 69-year-old Li Cheuk-yan, 41-year-old Chow Hang-tung were charged with inciting subversion of state power that carries punishment of up to 10 years in jail under a China-imposed national security law. They were former chair and former vice chair, respectively, of the now disbanded Hong Kong Alliance in support of patriotic democratic movements of China. Another former chairman of the group and also a former chairman of the city's largest opposition Democratic Party, 74-year-old Albert Ho, had pleaded guilty to the same charge. The alliance had for decades led annual commemorations in Hong Kong of the 1989 Tiananmen Square crackdown in Beijing until the enactment of the national security law in 2020.
In the judgment, the judges clearly point out the defender had engaged in the activities of the incitement of the subversion of the state power over a prolonged period of time. Even after the Hong Kong national security law was promulgated on the 30th of June 2020, when considerable public discussion suggested that the activities were violating the new law.
Lee's wife, Elizabeth Tang, a former union leader, told reporters of the verdict that she felt furious and angry.
Of course, there is no surprises, but still I'm disappointed and I'm angry because I don't think he has committed any unlawful means, but still he's found guilty. I think it's most unjust.
Hong Kong and Macau used to be the only places on Chinese soil that permitted public vigils to mourn those who died on June 4, 1989, when Beijing sent troops and tanks to crush protests calling for political reform in and around the capital's Tiananmen Square. But public commemoration has been effectively banned since Beijing imposed a national security law on Hong Kong in 2020, following huge and at times violent pro-democracy protests the year before. Meanwhile, the U.S. has condemned the conviction of two Hong Kong activists. Washington has called on Hong Kong authorities to immediately release the two former leaders. The U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Democracy, Human Rights and Labor, Riley Burns, condemned the court's guilty verdict and called for the activists' immediate release. Taiwan, too, has called on China to stop political persecution following the Hong Kong court's verdict. Taiwan's top China policy body, the Mainland Affairs Council, expressed deep regret and sorrow over the convictions and called on the Chinese Communist Party and the Hong Kong government to immediately release those detained in the case.